And welcome to the Rob Call Bottom Up Show, sponsored by opednews.com on Pacifica, on Progressive Radio Network, on iTunes, and at opednews.com/podcasts. My guest for this show is Muhammad Yunus. He is the founder of Grameen Bank. He and the bank were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to create economic and social development from below. He has a new book, A World of Three Zeros, The Economics of Zero Poverty, Zero Unemployment, and Zero Net Carbon Emissions. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
It is a pleasure. So I wanted to just go over a little bit about who you are and what you've done. And just to let you know, I call my show the Bottom Up Show because I believe we're transitioning from a predominantly top-down culture towards a more bottom-up one. So I'm very interested in how bottom-up...
Wonderful idea.
Good. So I'm interested...
Great idea. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm interested in hearing how bottom-up ideas are replacing top-down habits and ensconced power fit into your thinking practice.
That's right.
So one more thing I want to get into, just to give a little more background about you. You started the Grameen, which has over 9 million clients. It lends out $2.5 billion a year. Over 300 million people have been helped by the microlending that you invented with the Grameen Bank.
That's right.
You have 19 branches in 12 cities with 86,000 women borrowing on average about $1,000.
That's true.
So what do you want this book to accomplish?
This is beyond microcredit. We're talking about the main issue that I'm raising is the wealth concentration. All the wealth of the world is concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. The latest information is only 8 people in the world owns more wealth than the bottom 50% of the people. If you take 8 billion people on this planet, 8 persons own more wealth than 4 billion people put together. So that is going on, and it's getting worse. It's exponentially increasing. It's becoming worse and worse. I said you must stop this process, either slow down to begin with and bring down the speed to the zero, and then reverse the process, so that the wealth is, instead of concentrated and up in the top, should be distributed to people. Today, a huge mushroom of wealth is on the sky, and only a stem is hanging from there. So 99.9% of the wealth in the mushroom, and remaining 1% people, or 0.1% people have the 99% of the, only 1% of the wealth. So that is something unsustainable. You cannot carry on because it's getting worse and worse every day. So I'm drawing attention. We must do something. This is a ticking time bomb.
And you've come up with 3 elements of your solution. I'll just throw it out, and then you can give us the details. And one other thing, could you put your mouth a little further from the phone? It's a little too loud. Okay, so the 3.
I should keep it away from my mouth?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, good. I'll do that.
Great. So the 3 elements are embrace concepts of social business and replace selfishness with selflessness.
That's right.
The second one is replace the assumption that people are job seekers with the idea that they are entrepreneurs. And the third one is we need to redesign the entire financial system to make it work efficiently for the people at the bottom of the economic ladder rather than just for the few.
That's right.
So let's start. Let's
try one by one.
Yeah, you've talked about neoclassical economics and how it theorizes that selfishness is the highest virtue of capitalist man. So talk about your vision of how capitalism should change.
Yeah, I start with this fundamental issue you just mentioned, because that's where the whole system of capitalist system emerges, with the assumption that human beings are driven by self-interest. He just thinks because he's motivated to benefit himself directly. That's what profit making, that's what the profit maximization, all these things come because of the very assumption that the human being that we have in the world, they're all driven by making money. So you have to give them the product to continue doing that. And the real human beings that you see around are not all driven by selfishness. The human beings have two basic elements, selfishness and selflessness at the same time. But the theory has not accommodated the selflessness part into the theory. It focused only on selfishness. As a result, we created an extremely selfish world. As a result, all the money, all the institutions are built to go in one direction, to the people who have lots of money. And we built the system in a way, the more money you have, the more you get. So more wealth you have, the more you become wealthier. So that's the system. If we introduce now selflessness into the system, suddenly it changes the whole thing. Then you have a business to make money. Then you have a business to solve problems of the other people, benefit the other people, without having any interest in that. So we created that kind of business. We call it social business. This is a non-dividend company to solve human problems. We created many, many such companies on this social business company to demonstrate this is nature of the human being. It's not done because government is pushing you to do that, or religion is pushing you to do that, or anybody else is forcing you to do that. You want it because that's what you enjoy doing. And you can do both. You can do money-making business, you can do social business, or you can exclusively concentrate on any one of them. So you have to have these options in the textbook, in the theory, so that you can build up institutions like that. This is one issue that creating all this concentration of wealth. If you introduce selfless business or social business, suddenly that changes. Because in selfless business or social business, there is no concentration because we are not taking any money out of the profit of the company. It's a non-dividend company to solve human problems. That way, nobody is taking any wealth. So to that extent, wealth concentration will be reduced. The more and more we have it, more and more concentration will be reduced. So this is the basic thing that we are trying to introduce to address the problem of wealth concentration. And the second issue that you mentioned about, again, misinformation or misrepresentation, that all human beings have to go and work for somebody else. I said human beings are not born to work for anybody else.
Could you wait just a second?
Basically, all their life, all their history, they are go-getters, they are entrepreneurs. When we are in the caves, we are not sending job applications from cave number 5 to cave number 10, give me a job. It doesn't exist. We simply go ahead, we become hunters, we become gatherers, we become farmers. That's our life, that's our in our blood. That capitalist system told us, no, you get ready, get a job and spend your lifetime serving somebody else or somebody's company. I think that's the wrong direction. So every young person will be given two options. You can become a job seeker or you can become a job creator. So then it turns out everything. So if you all become entrepreneur, then there is a concentration because everybody is sharing the wealth.
So you have in your ideas about entrepreneurs the concept that it's in our DNA, that for the organization, people all function as the kind of entrepreneurs. Could you talk about that?
Yes, that's what I've been saying, and we practice it in Bangladesh. All the young people, the second generation of Grameen Bank family, they have education. We gave them good incentive to stay in education, have good education, but no jobs. They complain about it. I said, why are you looking for jobs? Job is a very obsolete idea. You shouldn't even think about jobs because instead of saying jobs, you tell yourself, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. That's what I am. And I tell them, look, in history, we never did that, looking for jobs. We always solve our problems. And that's what we are. We are entrepreneurs, we are go-getters. That's what you should be. What we do is create social business venture capital fund and tell the young people, come up with business ideas one after another. As you come up with business ideas, we become a partner with you. We invest in your business as a venture capital. And you make it successful and return the money that we gave you, and the job is done. Because we are, as a social business, we are not interested in your profit. Profit stays with you. Just give us the money back, whatever we have given you, so that we can use this money to invest in somebody else. So now thousands and thousands of young people keep coming with business ideas, they keep investing in them. So whole mainstream get it. In the beginning, they are not business people, they are not entrepreneurs, all people are not entrepreneurs. I tell the young people, look at your mother. Your mother joined Grameen Bank some 20 years back, and she had the courage to stand up and take $20 loan, $30 loan to start a business. And ever since, she's taking a bigger and bigger loan and building our business. And that's where we are going. If your illiterate mother, who never crossed the boundary of the village, could become an entrepreneur with a $30 loan, shame on your education. Shame on everything that you learn, because that has eliminated, that is completely erased all the capacity that you had about being an entrepreneur, which your mother had. So I said, why don't you go back to your mother, learn from her how to become an entrepreneur, because she did it on her own. Nobody taught her, nobody gave her lessons. She figured it out step by step with lots of courage, lots of dedication to make it out. I said, if you continue with that, you is entrepreneur by yourself. So go ahead, learn from your mother, start the business, we do the funding for you.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Are you on a speakerphone?
No, I'm on the, yes, it's a speakerphone, that's right, yeah.
Did you take it off?
You want to turn it off?
Did you turn off the speaker part and put it to your ear?
No, now on the speaker. Is it okay now?
That sounds better, yeah.
Okay, let's continue with this.
Okay. So I asked you a question. I'm not sure I got an answer. You write about how being an entrepreneur was the way humans were before there was civilization, when they were hunters and gatherers. Could you talk about that?
That's right. That's right. The people are hunter-gatherers. If you mean civilization by working for somebody else, then I say it's a wrong civilization. We didn't have that. You have the slavery in the civilization at the beginning of the civilization, not working for others. You have the army, you have the slavery. And most of the army was also a part of the slavery. So that's what only job that you had. Otherwise, people are doing their handicaps, and each one their profession, each one doing their own work, exchanging things with each other. That's what civilization began. Civilization didn't begin with corporates.
Okay, and before that, when people were hunting and gathering, they were all basically entrepreneurs, is what you're saying, right?
What I'm saying, they're all on their own. There's nothing that they have to be fed by somebody else. And then they get the labor, then they give it. Only thing that you see in history is the slavery, because you are so powerless that somebody put some control of you and own you and make you work for them. That's what they did. So, it's not a salary job.
So many people have been in this authoritarian worker system for so long that it's in their mind that that's all they can do. How do you get them to rethink and review themselves so that they see themselves as entrepreneurs?
Because this young generation gives me the hope. This young generation is not blindly following what happened in the past, because our generation, the one before, our generation was so desperate to make a survival, to get our first car, to get our first home, get our first vacation, and those kind of things. We were desperate to have those things. The new generation came out, their parents have already done everything. So they don't know where they start. So they are looking for opportunities to do that. So, and the global problems and so on attract them. They want to create the use their creative power. So if they give them the option that you can create business to solve problems, then they get very excited. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Because within the company, they see their creativity becomes terminated, becomes limited. If I'm taking a job at the peak of my creative power at the youth, then what happens? I set into a slot. I fit into a slot, and that slot limits me. I cannot be as person as I am. I'm a giant of a human being, but I put in a very little role within the company, and I cannot transgress that limit. And then the whole company would be screaming at me. So I always keep myself in a shrunk situation. So instead of having give away my creative power, I would like to keep my creative power. So that's what young people like it. So although the generations would work, but the new generation say, what is my option? What can I do? Then when I say, if you are basically an entrepreneur, they love it. And then the jobs are getting scantier and scantier. The artificial intelligence is coming, robotics are coming. So there is no job. Even for the people who already have the job will be out of job. The question of getting more jobs for the newer people, who are a large number of people coming in, obsolete. It's not happening. So they know that. So that also encourages them. Why am I going to uncertainty of life? Why don't I do the things that I can do? And I use my creative power to make it happen. And I touch the lives of other people.
You talk about the idea of a bonsai tree as a metaphor for some of your ideas. Could you talk about that?
Yes, I've always pointed out when people ask me, what is the reason for poverty? What are the causes of poverty? So I started saying that, look, one thing very clear to me, poverty is not created by poor people. Poverty is created by the system in which they have to live. That system imposes poverty on them. So it is externally imposed phenomenon on people, not internally generated phenomenon. So I give the metaphor of bonsai. I said you take the seed of the tallest tree in the forest and put it in a flower pot to grow. And it will grow very slowly, but it will stop growing after it reaches 2 feet or 3 feet. It will look exactly like the one that we saw in the forest, but doesn't grow beyond 3 feet. And what is the reason? Is the seed somehow weak? No, seed is a very strong seed. But we planted the seed into a flower pot. We didn't give the base in which to grow. I said, poor people are bonsai people. There is nothing wrong with their seed. Simply society never gave them the base on which to grow so that they can be as tall as everybody else. That's the fault of the system. So we have to, in order to overcome poverty, we have to change the system. Only then it is possible.
Okay, so what are some of the things that we need to stop doing? What are the things or the system? What do we need to stop doing, and what do we need to replace them with?
First of all, we should change the education system, and also with the family environment, tell the young people within the family, look son, look daughter, that you have 2 options in life. Figure out which option you want to take. You can, as you grow up, you can accept a job in a company, in an office, and stay with them like we did in our time. This is your option. Another option, you can go your way. You can be an entrepreneur, come up with a business idea, what kind of business you want, and be a business person, be an entrepreneur, and use all your talent, all your creative capacity in the business world. And then you have 2 kinds of business to choose from. One is business to make money, which you can do, or business to solve problems. That's also you can do. These are your options. As you grow up, you have to choose. You can do both. You can do money-making business. At the same time, simultaneously, you can do social business. How much of social business you'll do, how much is money-making business you'll do, that's up to you. You decide. So give the option. Today, there is no option. You grow up, you are told, get ready, get a job. Unless you get a job, nobody is feeling satisfied that, oh, something is incomplete. There is nothing incomplete. Simply, you don't want to go that way. That's all. You have an alternative route, you can go there. So this is one thing. It has to be in the family. It has to be in the education system. Today, in the education system, everybody is saying, oh, get a good grade, get to the best school, and get a good job. That's the only way to get the best job, a good education. I said, job is the ultimate of human life. I said, that's a shame. That's not true. The destiny of human being is not getting a job. Destiny of human being is to himself or herself bring out all the creative powers he or she has inside of them so that the benefit of the world. You show what you have inside of you, leave your signature on the planet. This is what I did when I was here. Every child should have a purpose, that this is what I'm going to do. So these are the things that you need to bring up. I'm not saying what they should do. I'm saying what they may do. Give them the options. Give them the future. Let them know what it is. That's the most important part of it.
So can you describe some of these ideas in terms of bottom up and top down?
This is not a bottom up or top down. I'm talking every single individual. So if you told this is bottom up, of course it's bottom up. I'm not leaving out anybody. Whether you are a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're handicapped, doesn't matter. Everybody has a creative power. Use your creative power. Do things in your own way. So, and don't wait for the government to do things for you. Don't end up in a job, kind of unemployment benefit or welfare you will need because you don't have a job, so you're on welfare. This is the wrong path. You have the ability, you have the capacity, you can take care of yourself. That's how you're built. Not only you take care of yourself and your family, you take care of the whole world. That's what you are. It's a human being. Human being is not limited to just take care of themselves. It's much wider than this. It's only a small part that uses to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, the rest of it is to say, make a better world every time, every year, every generation after generation, we build a newer and newer, brighter and brighter world.
It seems to me that what you've done is you've empowered many millions of people, mostly women, who were victims of patriarchy, where they did not have opportunity, and you provided them with a way that they could lift themselves up. That seems
absolutely. So not only we do it in Bangladesh, we also do it in the United States. We have a Grameen America, exactly like Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. Grameen America has now 20 branches in 12 cities in the United States. New York City has 7 branches of Grameen America, and other cities have 1, 2, and such on. We have branches in Oakland, branches in San Jose, Southern California. There are 2 branches, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Austin, and Omaha, Nebraska, and so on, in 12 cities of the United States. We have nearly 100,000 borrowers now. All of them are women. Collectively, they have taken about $1 billion in loan. Startup loan will be somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500, and $1,500 is the maximum for a startup loan. And then gradually you take bigger and bigger loan as you pay back. In total, you have taken over $1 billion loan right now. And the payment back is near 100%. It's 99.6%. That's the record over the last 8 years.
What do they do with the money?
They're all women. Pardon me?
What do they do with the money that they borrow?
Start a business. Like in Bangladesh, start a business. Somebody starts a business of hairdressing. She has the skills. She just sits a chair in a hair salon and start a business. Somebody used to work for a house cleaning company, and she hated it. And when this money is available, she said, forget about your job. I start my own business. So with this money, she starts some equipment, and she runs a house cleaning company herself. She prints out some business card, passes it around, and people hire her, and she does the service and gets the money as an independent operator. And when she becomes a little bigger, she hires somebody else to work with her. And we tell the person who is hired, you can also be an independent person too. So not just because she hired her doesn't mean that you end up your life this way. We are as good as giving money to you as anybody else. So this is the way. And somebody makes clothing and beautiful designs. She knows how to do that, and she's in that business. Somebody takes care of pets and pets with the dogs and cats, taking care of them. Somebody takes care of catering services, make cakes and pastries for special events and so on. So delivering things for birthdays and anniversaries and so on and so forth. So many things. What you see in your home, the maids are doing. Instead of me being inside your home, she said, why am I doing for somebody else? Why don't you do it for myself and sell this stuff? I know how to cook. I cook and sell it to people. I start running a mini restaurant, and I cook, and people like it and enjoy cooking for them, and I make money for myself. There are varieties of things people do.
Now, you're also talking about zero net carbon in third world nations. And you say that It's actually easier to do it in third world nations. And again, it looks to me like you're taking a very bottom-up approach, not creating giant energy plants, but getting energy out to small villages and people.
It should be done every aspect. The giant has to be also a planet-friendly giant plant. It should, just because you're giant doesn't mean you destroy the world in a giant way. We don't allow that. So why don't you be responsible? Your giant plant has to be responsible to the planet. You don't emit and make life in the planet miserable, because a country like Bangladesh, we are in the front line of the destruction caused by global warming. We are a flat country, and we are almost at the sea level. If the sea level rises, our country sinks into the sea. So we have no place to go. And we are a very densely populated country with 165 million people living in 150,000 square kilometers. So if the country goes down, so we are nowhere. So we have to be climate refugees, and many island countries will disappear. So we have to be careful. We make sure those people who are making the mega contribution in emission of C2, we have to make sure that they don't do it. And ourselves who live in those countries, make sure we don't contribute, we counter it by creating, which will be adding to the health of the planet. So this is a responsibility of all of us, not just one group does it, another group doesn't do it. Simply, I'm saying it's possible. People can do that in rich country, poor country. We created an energy company called Grameen Energy to bring solar energy in the villages of Bangladesh and make a solar home system in every village. And it became very popular. It's a social business, and we get our money back, and we keep on expanding. Right now, we have nearly, in total, nearly about 4 million homes with solar energy in Bangladesh.
That's incredible. How can they afford it?
Pardon me?
How can they afford to get solar energy in their home?
All very simple. We come up with a formula. First of all, we didn't know how to proceed. We couldn't sell so much. Then we start asking people, how much money you spend on kerosene? Then they calculate, yes, I spent so much money. Yes, last month, month before I spent so much. On an average, I spend about this much of money. I said, okay, that's the deal. You give me the money, what you spend on kerosene, and I give you the solar energy. So I install the solar home system. They pay a monthly payment equivalent to the money they spend on kerosene, and they have to do it typically about 3 years. For 3 years, you're making monthly payment of kerosene, and after 3 years, all the payment is done. Your solar home system is all yours. You don't have to pay anybody anything. So it is not something that I cannot afford. If you can afford to buy kerosene, you afford to buy a whole solar home system. As simple as that.
You're not only doing solar homes. You have highly efficient stoves that you're getting out into the.
Right. We are also introducing highly efficient stove. We are introducing all other energy saving bioregister, so that you produce bioregister with the excision of the cows, cattle, and so on, so that you produce your own gas for cooking and gas for burning, making lights and so on. So all it, your home produces a lot of things. So you create all the energy by yourself rather than run to the fossil fuel.
Now you say the third step is we need to redesign the entire financial system to make it work efficiently.
Absolutely. Yes. Today, the financial system only serves as a conduit, as a vehicle to make rich people more rich. In the whole financial system, basic principle behind it, the more you have, the more you get. So you double your wealth every time. Whatever you have, you bring more equivalent to that and make more money into it. So the basic principle remains: more you have, more you get. If you have less, you get less. If you have nothing, you get nothing. So as a result, all the wealth is proceeding towards the top. So we have to redesign. Nobody is excluded from the financial services. For example, I keep telling that financial services to the poor people is like economic oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, then people gasp. People start becoming disabled. You cannot function anymore. You become weak. You cannot move your limbs. So as real oxygen does that, similarly, economic oxygen does that too. If you do not bring the financial services to the poor, they cannot function, they are weak. The moment you connect them with the financial oxygen, suddenly it becomes alive, it becomes active, energetic, because you can do things now. You have access to finance. So access to finance is very vital. And I've been talking about it for long years now. I say credit should be accepted as a human right. It's not something whether a bank can do it or bank cannot do it. This is our responsibility. Make sure nobody is outside the financial service at all. Poor, rich, doesn't matter. And whether you're handicapped, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man. At the very stage, the women are doing the greatest thing in the microcredit. They are so well adjusted to that. They understand it right away, the whole idea of microfinance and so on, and run with it. There are so many other things like the social business venture capital. So if you bring the venture capital to the unemployed people, they'll be delighted. Yes, of course. All I need is money. If I had the money, I'll be an entrepreneur in no time. Why am I lining up for jobs? I don't want to do that. I don't humiliate myself. Standing on the door of somebody, give me a job, please, please. Otherwise, I cannot survive. I don't want to do that. I want to go ahead and do my own thing.
Last question. You talk about the problems.
Yeah. This will be the last one because I have to.
Yes. You talk about the problems with globalization. Talk about them and then about your solutions.
About the globalization?
Yes.
Yeah, globalization is something which I keep mentioning has started
as human beings were born on this planet. Human beings started moving out of Africa and moving out of all over the world just by walking. There's nothing else. And they found their search. They had to find their life. So they started coming out of Africa, moving towards Asia, moving to Australia, moving to Russia, moving to Europe, and moving to all the places in Latin America and so on. They're all together, now spread all over the world. That's what they did when they had no technology of the kind you can imagine. They can cross the ocean, they can cross the mountain. They did that on their own. That's the globalization. That spirit never died. So globalization is a natural process. All I'm asking, whether globalization should be enriching the people or helping the people. That's the question. So we have to create a system where globalization is for people who are left out from the system, so that they benefit from the system, rather than protect yourself, creating your own island and say, we have to create our own island, which is a now new craze that is coming up. UK got out of Brexit, saying that, oh, the Europeans are coming, the Central Europeans are coming, take our job. So they literally become an island by trying to get out of Europe. And then USA has done the same thing in the last election, saying let's build a wall and let's get rid of the international trade because our jobs are going away. Our job is not going away. Our income is increasing because of mutual benefit that we have. We do it not for the sake of benefiting others. It's a mutual benefit. You benefit, we benefit. That's the whole theory of international trade. You just say that we close our border for international trade, that means you will become weaker. You will become insignificant in your economic situation. So that's the thing that all we have to notice, that it should not be benefiting only rich people. That's the only thing we have to do. Then you bring the social business and how you benefit from those for the benefit of the poor, so that not only capital moves across the world, people also move across the world. That was the whole spirit of it. There should not be any boundary for people to be stuck in one place and then they cannot go any place. As internationalization, as the globalization now you have to go making goods and services going around the world. You don't talk about the people, but the most critical thing is the movement of people, so that they can share everybody and contribute to all kinds of economies.
All right. Well, you've given me the time that you promised. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay with me for